Welcome back to another FPL transfer tips, this time out of Double Gameweek 35, where we have Tottenham and Chelsea with doubles. I'll be covering 10 players to buy, hold, sell and skip, and this could also be useful for the wild card if you're using free transfers, taking hits. No matter what your chip strategy is, this video and podcast will help you today, and keep your eyes peeled for the best wild card team, the team selection, and potentially the best free hit team. If you want to see that, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below and smash the like button of this video, getting this to over 200 likes, and we're also getting closer towards 25,000 subscribers and beyond. Check out all the other links like my Twitter and Instagram, follow me on those platforms, check out Draft Hound, the Discord server, FPL League, FPL Challenge League, and also Spotify and Amazon Music. It'd be greatly appreciated if you leave a 5-star review and listen to those podcasts as well. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. It has been ages since I recommended a Man United player, but Bruno Fernandes has been in incredible form. Only one blank since Game Week 26, and in the FA Cup semi-final, he scored in the penalty shootout, but during the 120 minutes, he scored, assisted, created 9 chances and had 5 shots. He was by far the best player for Manchester United. And with those fixtures coming up and that double in Game Week 37, I think Bruno Fernandes is a buy. Just a caveat for those players that haven't played yet in Game Week 34, or they still have another game left, for those doublers like Arsenal and Liverpool, you will see their fixtures for Game Week 34 on screen. But for the rest, you will see their fixtures from Game Week 35 until the end of the season. So Bruno Fernandes plays Sheffield United this week. We can't do anything about that if you don't own him already, and only 11.9% of managers already do so. He has 8 goals and 7 assists for the season, 90 key passes and 139 FPL points. His price is 8.3 million, and for me, he's the best Man United asset to own. I know Garnacho and Højlund could definitely be worth considering in the forward line, but I'd rather go for Bruno Fernandes. Then you've got Dalot and Onana to cover that Man United defence, which is looking so shaky. They concede so many chances, and if I had to pick just one Man United asset, Bruno Fernandes easily wins that right now, and it's something I wouldn't have thought about around a month ago, but his form has been too good to ignore. He's scoring and assisting on a consistent basis in recent weeks, and I think he's a great option for Double Gameweek 37 and also those 2 fixtures just beforehand, especially against Burnley in Game Week 35. I have covered Heung-min Son extensively in these transfer tips videos and podcasts. Sometimes he's a hold, sometimes he's a sell, but more often than not, I recommend purchasing him, which is what I'm doing right now for the upteenth time, it seems. He has a double this week against Arsenal at home and Chelsea away in Game Week 37. That's where going for 2 or 3 Spurs players could really be worthwhile, against Burnley and Man City at home. And then you wrap up the season with Sheffield United away. Heung-min Son's ownership and price has actually fallen dramatically. He's now priced at 9.8 million. His ownership is 24.2%. He has 15 goals and 9 assists for the season. His XGI is 15.65. He was anonymous against Newcastle. So I talked about holding him for that period, and it's all obviously team dependent. Selling him for Game Week 34, then wildcarding him back in 35 is a great play. I've done it myself, and I think it just makes complete sense. But right now, I think it's just very simple. Buy Heung-min Son. He's by far the best Spurs asset, especially with a doggy ruled out for the rest of the season. Pedro Porro is currently doubtful. You've got a few decent attackers in there. Werner is showing some decent form, and Brennan Johnson could be a great differential. Of course, James Maddison is someone who can really step it up in FPL, but Son is consistent week in, week out, and I think he's the one to buy from that Tottenham attack without a shadow of a doubt. He has 186 FPL points for the season, and that could easily become 200 plus by the end of Double Gameweek 35. So for me, Heung-min Son is a buy. It's difficult to pick out that second or third Chelsea asset. The same goes for Tottenham Hotspur, but Gusto's probably the second best from the Blues. I think Cole Palmer is unbelievably clear in first position. I talked about buying him back in December, and also quite recently when some people were talking about selling him. I remember just before Crystal Palace, Chelsea had some blanks, and I talked about holding him all the way back then. That was in February, and also a little bit after that, just before his incredible run where he scored a hat-trick against Manchester United and 4 goals against Everton. So Palmer goes without saying, you have to buy him for Game Week 35 and all the way up until the end of the season. But if you're looking for that second Chelsea asset, Malo Gusto would be my pick, with 9 big chances created, 5 assists and 60 FPL points, which isn't great. But for a 4.3 million defender, I think he can deliver for the last few game weeks of the season with those 2 doubles in Game Week 35 and 37. If you're asking me how many clean sheets do you think Chelsea keep, I'd probably say 1 or 2. But you never know. Chelsea could step up in some of these bigger games. They did beat Aston Villa in the FA Cup earlier this season, so I wouldn't put it past them to get a result there. It will be difficult though, and you look at the double in 35, it doesn't look great on paper, and that's why Cole Palmer is the only one that really looks like a great option for that double. But I like Gusto for Gameweek 37. Maybe a clean sheet against West Ham or Bournemouth is possible as well. So for me, Malo Gusto is a good purchase for the rest of the season. Erling Haaland's the only Man City player who's currently got an injury problem. He missed the FA Cup semi-final due to this muscle issue that he experienced against Real Madrid. He asked to be substituted, and we don't know much about that situation. But let's see if he plays against Brighton away in Gameweek 34 on Thursday, and if he's still not in the squad, that could be very concerning, and we might have to skip him up until Gameweek 36 or 37. But many people asked me during the reaction stream and even the deadline stream, can we go about Erling Haaland? And the answer is yes, you definitely can, and he could be that cash cow to enable a very strong bench boost. But I'm looking at other premium assets, particularly in the midfield, and I think they're more sellable. I like Erling Haaland if he can stay fit against Forest, Wolves, that doubling Gameweek 37 against Fulham and Tottenham, and then to round off the season, West Ham at home, which is looking like a plum fixture right now. Haaland has 20 goals for the season, joint top goal scorer with Cole Palmer. He also has 8 assists, 46 big chances, 174 FPL points, over 100 shots overall, 95 of them being inside the box. The XG itself is 23.93. There is so much to like with Erling Haaland, but he has missed a lot of big chances this season. There's no denying that. And is he worth 14.2 million, which is currently priced at? Probably not, and his ownership is dwindling a little bit. It is 67%, and at the time of this recording, over 28,000 managers have transferred the Norwegian out. But I think he's worth holding on to, and Foden is definitely the best Man City asset right now, but Haaland would be second, and I would double up on the Citizens attack for that double in Gameweek 37 and some plum fixtures to round off the season. This applies to all Arsenal defenders like Ben White and Gabriel. I think they're worth holding on to even if you're bench boosting in Gameweek 37, and Arsenal play Manchester United away in that double game week. So it's not a great fixture, and despite Arsenal keeping 6 consecutive clean sheets on the road, if they were to set the record, they would have to keep clean sheets against Tottenham and Manchester United, which is a very tough ask. Both of them are fierce rivals. They'll be desperate to end Arsenal's title hopes. And Chelsea at home is going to be a banana skin fixture as well. Chelsea have performed against the best teams this season and made things uncomfortable for Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal at Stamford Bridge back in October. But Saliba's priced at 5.9 million. He's a template pick with 40.4% ownership, 2 goals, 1 assist, 10 bonus points and 140 FPL points. Gabriel and White are also great options. Who do you pick on the wild card? I think White would be my preference if funds are no issue, but if you just want to go for a cheap option offering the best value, then Gabriel offers that, and Saliba is better for bonus points than his Brazilian counterpart. But honestly, all 3 of them are great options. You could even double up on that Gunners defense, but I'm looking at those fixtures and I see 1, maybe 2 clean sheets. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for the Gunners to do more than that. If they do, they would have done a great job because those are some tough fixtures in my opinion. So for me, William Saliba is a hold, and I'd say the same thing about any Arsenal defender. Pedro Porro is a hold for me. He did pick up a hamstring problem against Newcastle during that 4-0 defeat, but Tottenham do have a 15-day break until they play Arsenal in the North London derby. The problem for them is they have a tight fixture schedule and turnaround after that game, but all eyes and all focus will be on that North London derby. That is a massive game for both clubs, and we'll see if Porro is available for that game. I think he will be, and some sources indicate that he could be available. They're quite hopeful and optimistic about that. Now, Udogie is out for the rest of the season, as I mentioned earlier. After he had surgery, we could see Davis or Emerson Real as a left back. So Spurs' defence, which is already looking quite troubled, could be even more problematic, and it's going to be a very difficult task. But you own the likes of Pedro Porro for the attacking potential, the chances created, the assists, the bonus points. You don't really keep him for the clean sheets. He has 1 goal and 8 assists for the season, 10 big chances created and 110 FPL points. His ownership is 15.4%, but expect that to actually rise quite significantly if he is deemed fit for that North London derby. 2 doubles in 3 game weeks. Like I mentioned earlier, the best time to buy Porro and all Spurs assets is Gameweek 37 against Burnley and Sheffield United. for 2 of the last 3 games of the season. Man City at home you can kind of write off, but I'd still like Borderell for those fixtures. Before that, against Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool, it looks really awful on paper, but appearance points, maybe 1 assist could be just about enough to make him a decent FPL asset for Game Week 35 and 36. So for me, Pedro Borderell is a hold. This is where things get very interesting, and in certain scenarios, Mohamed Salah is a hold, particularly for those that aren't bench boosting in Game Week 37. I like him against West Ham away, even Tottenham at home and Wolves at home. I think he's a great option for those game weeks, but the fact he was benched against Fulham does put some doubts there. Will the Egyptian start every single game until the end of the season? I still think he will, but I'm not as certain as I would have been a week ago, and he has been quite poor since his return from injury. 17 goals and 9 assists, and the vast majority of them came up until the turn of the new year. Ever since that, it has been quite underwhelming for Salah, but the underlying numbers are always great. His XGI is 24.17, so it goes to show how sustainable his goals and assists are. His ownership is 40.8%, but that's going to plummet down very drastically by the time we get to the Game Week 35 deadline. I think he could be a nice differential, so to speak, in terms of the captaincy against West Ham away, who are really struggling at this moment in time. But he's priced at 13.6 million, and I'm afraid to say he's not worth that money at the moment. Of course, things change very quickly, and Salah is still averaging 7.2 points per match in FPL this season. So I think in the vast majority of cases, Salah is a sell. If you need that bench boost in 37, you need a cash cow, I think Salah's the best one to sell to make it possible. You can buy the likes of Isak, Bruno Fernandes, and have a 50-man squad that's fully stacked with doublers that looks really strong for Game Week 37. So for me, Mohamed Salah is a sell. If you're in a situation where you have Salah and Saka, you can keep one of them. You're not bench boosting in Game Week 37. Funds are no issue. And I have to pick one to sell. It would be Saka, because I like Salah's fixtures against Wolves, Tottenham, and also against West Ham. I think those 3 games definitely give Salah the edge. With Saka, there's no doubt about rotation. He's looking so tired at the moment, but he's still playing every single game, almost the 90 minutes pretty much in every single occasion. I look at these fixtures for Arsenal, and the 2 that stand out to me are the green ones against Bournemouth and Everton at home. But against Tottenham and Man United away, even if Saka were to return in those games, I don't see him delivering a massive haul. If he can do that, that would be very crucial for the Gunners. And Saka was in red hot form between January all the way up until early April, but he has faded a little bit physically. I think he's a bit jaded, and the same goes for a lot of the Arsenal players. It's all about getting through the finish line and getting the job done. His ownership is 59.4%, 14 goals and 10 assists. I mean, Saka's 22 years old and his numbers are very consistent. I mean, look at the XGI as well, 23.14. He's surely going to be priced at 10, maybe even 11 million next season in FPL, and he's just shy of 200 FPL points, so he doesn't need much more to break last season's tally and set a new personal best. He can still deliver in these games coming up and back him to do well in the second game of Double Gameweek 34, but let's see how that pans out. More importantly though, going into the last few game weeks of the season, Bournemouth and Everton look really good for Saka and co, and I think we can reach a situation where you sell Saka right now and buy him back for Game Week 38 against Everton, and you navigate that period in the best way possible. But for me, Saka is a sell in Double Gameweek 35. There are no doubts in my mind that Virgil van Dijk, even Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, they're all sells for the rest of the season. I highlight those fixtures like West Ham, Tottenham and Wolves as being very good ones for Liverpool, but mainly for the attackers like Mohamed Salah. For the defenders, not so much. That's 1 clean sheet across the last 12 games across all competitions, and that was against Atalanta, who are already 3-0 up on aggregate. So I think Virgil van Dijk isn't worth it. He might deliver against Everton in the second game, and I'll still stand by what I said. The only possibility, or the only reason I change my mind, is if I see Liverpool really defensively solid, limiting Everton to virtually no chances whatsoever, and I don't see that happening. I think Liverpool win the game, and that will be very crucial in the title race, but I don't see them being defensively solid. They haven't been all season. I think Alisson has also bailed them out on multiple occasions. Van Dijk was always an option for Double Gameweek 34, but beyond that, he was always a sell for Gameweek 35 and beyond. He's priced at 6.7 million. He's simply not worth that money. He has 108 FPL points, 2 goals and 2 assists for the season. Another one against Everton would be very handy. 34 shots is very impressive. In fact, that's the most of any defender this season in the Premier League, and his ownership is 23.2%, but that could be halved by the time we get to that West Ham fixture in Game Week 35. So for me, Virgil van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, and all Liverpool defenders, RSL. The 10th and final player I'm covering today is Wissa, the only skip of this video and podcast, and he's been in great form. He got 13 points against Luton Town in that 5-1 victory, a very impressive showing, and that's 2 consecutive wins now for Brentford, who are also 3-1 up against Aston Villa not too long ago. Those fixtures look great. If you're not bench boosting in Game Week 37, then I don't mind 1 or 2 Brentford assets like Reguilon or Wissa. They could be decent, and if I had to pick between those two, it probably would be Wissa, but generally speaking, his ceiling isn't that high. He tends to get 5 or 6 points even after scoring. He gets quite a few yellow cards, and I just think there are better forwards elsewhere. Jackson, dare I say, because of the 2 doubles in 35 and 37, but more importantly, Isak is the main forward to target, and he should be your priority, not Wissa. But for those that aren't bench boosting in 37 and you're looking for single game week options, those are some good fixtures there, and Brentford are very close to securing safety, and they could play with some more freedom, and that partnership between Wissa and Mbeumo is working very well, and I think Ivan Toney might have actually been hampering the team and maybe dragging them down a little bit because his performances haven't been that great recently. So that partnership of Mbeumo and Wissa is certainly working. Mbeumo's another one to consider in the midfield. I'd still skip Wissa, who's a 5.7 million forward with very low ownership, 10 goals for the season now, 18 big chances, and over 100 FPL points. But in my opinion, there are better forwards in the market, especially when you look at Newcastle and Isak. And there we have it, 10 players to buy, hold, sell and skip, all covered for Double Game Week 35. The most transferred out player is Darwin Núñez, and Salah is just behind him in second. Saka is third. Some big names are being offloaded. Even Solanke, who's been so consistent all season, is in the top 4 most transferred out players. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below about all the players I covered today, and if there are any other players you want to discuss in the comment section or in future Trans Tips videos and podcasts, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video and listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 200 likes, and let's keep on pushing towards 25,000 subscribers and beyond. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for the latest FPL and use fantasy updates. Also check the Discord server, the FPL League, FPL Challenge, Draft Hound, also Spotify and Amazon Music. Leave a 5-star review on those podcasts, and a huge shout out to those that send in super chats, the patrons and the channel members. You can become a patron on patreon.com/DylanRCM and by clicking the join button on YouTube for early access to my videos and many more perks such as priority reply to comments. I wish you all the best of luck for Double Game Week 35 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.